Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video, back in the new place. I finally got moved into Virginia. Talk about that for a second, and then we'll get right into the video where we're going to be going over the Hardened Hartford meta breakdown and top 8, as well as the Hardened Manila, and kind of give, our first taste of the heavy hitters meta going into Classic Constructed. So, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully enjoy your stay. If you're a long Saints supporter, thank you so much as always. Feel free to check out the Discord down below, as well as the channel membership to get access to my videos early, as well as support, as a way to support the channel and help fund stuff for like events and giveaways and product for new releases for people and stuff like that. So we'll get right into it. I wanted to say thank you so much for being patient with me. I haven't posted a video in like 5-6 days. I've moved from Texas to Virginia, back home with family. I'm going to be here for the foreseeable future, hopefully for a long time. But yeah, getting everything set up, getting internet, all that stuff was nerve-wracking, but we got there. So you can be expecting videos from me a lot more often now, pretty much every day. I'm also going to be trying to start streaming 3 to 4 times a week. I'm not going to make set stream days just because my schedule is going to be a little haphazard for a few weeks while I get everything settled. But I am going to be 100% streaming a lot no matter what. So, yeah, be on the lookout for that. But we'll get right into it. So, for the Hardened Manila and Hardened Hartford, neither one of them was the main event at their respective cities. It was the calling, which was limited callings. I'm not going to go over those as much. Limited for me isn't as much as something I want to cover on the channel. But if you're interested in that, let me know. I can definitely see what I can do when it comes to going over that. But I really just kind of wanted to focus on the constructed meta for right now. But this is how the meta breakdown was for the Hardened Hartford. So I'm not good at math here, but it looks like, a decent amount of players, over 100 for sure. It didn't have it on the screen when I did. I should have added up beforehand. But regardless, we had some really interesting meta choices right now. It being a hardened and it not being the main event, which means you had some people playing this after dropping day 1 from the calling. You have some people that maybe just chose to play this. But I think that this event showed a little bit more maybe of people just either safe picks or picks they wanted to try. And you can kind of see that, and we'll talk about that. So this might not be a super huge meta implication of what are things to come, but I think there's some things to definitely talk about. First one is Dromai being at 21. I don't think Dromai is unplayable in this meta. I've been playing a lot of KO lately, and that matchup does not feel like auto win by any means. It's very difficult. Really good Dromais can play around poppers a decent amount with like Miragai, Chromai, all that stuff, right? Even Lawson Thought now, depending on the deck you're playing. But I was very surprised to see Dromai as the most represented deck. I do think right now, if you had to give the mystical tier list, Dromai is probably in the C tier category, or I guess if you started at S, she'd be in like a B tier. I think she's like the 3rd set of decks right now. She's just in the meta playable. So for her to be the most represented deck, I think she's always going to have a fan base because people love dragons, and she is a really good hero. But I think a lot of people probably just picked a safe pick. But I'm very surprised going into this meta. People, playing a lot of brute. There's a lot of popper decks. It's very hard to get around. I mean, very difficult. So that one was surprising. Another surprising one was Victor. Victor at 20. I think a lot of Guardians are just excited about Victor. They like that. It's not Oldheim, but Oldheim-esque type play, right? Drawing cards on your opponent's turn. Being highly, highly efficient with your blocks. I think a lot of people were gravitating towards that and just wanted to try something new maybe. Maybe they didn't want to play Bravo or even Betsy, as you can see in the bottom right. But yeah. Overall, Victor being the top 2 is very surprising. I thought Victor would be played well, but I thought personally the most represented deck was probably going to be Azalea, followed by like Bravo or even Bravo. I really thought the most represented deck would be Bravo, followed by maybe like Azalea and then like Dromai and stuff. So that was a little bit surprising. Another one, Levia at 17. I think Levia is very good right now. I think there's a lot of discussion to who's the better brute, Levia or KO, and it's going to be fun to talk about that in the coming weeks and months. But Levia at 17 is just awesome to see, right? If you had told me that Levia, Bolton, and Azalea would have made 3 of the top 6 hero representation at an event a year ago, I would have told you were crazy, right? So really fun to see that. Azalea being up there makes complete sense. I still think Azalea is in a really weird spot in this meta. I don't think she's in a great spot. I think she's a very powerful deck, but very interesting to see how she goes in the few months. My biggest surprise as far as like not representation is definitely Bravo. I thought Bravo would be like the most represented deck. It usually is. It seems like at the Battle Hardened level, especially early on in metas. Like early on in metas at Battle Hardened, that's where Bravo feasts. At least it seems like it to me. So I thought Bravo would be up there in like the 18 to 20 range. Was not correct on that. And the rest kind of filled out. It's great to see 12 KOs, 12 Kasai's, 10 Rhinar, right? So that the new heavy hitter support really, doing well there with Victor up there, and then those 3 heroes. And then it kind of rounds out from there. 6 Prism also is very interesting. I know Prism got new Luminaris, and Prism fans are, Prism stands, and I mean that in a good way, right? They love the hero, so I think the hero is going to be played no matter what the meta looks like. Only 6 Katsu is very interesting. I am going to come out with a Katsu, like where is Katsu right now in the meta, and my thoughts on Katsu in this meta here this week, so be on the lookout for that. I can see why people would choose maybe KO over Katsu right now, so that makes sense, but only being 6 was very interesting. And then, 4 Arachne was really nice. You see that new specialization kind of giving more hype to the hero and more people playing it, and even to Olympia. Only 3 heroes were not represented in the meta, Dash.io, Viserai, and Betsy. I'm actually very surprised about Dash.io. I know she's kind of in a hard spot, right, with people being able to block very efficiently, but I figured there'd be a couple just because Dash.io can do powerful things, and it's a hero people love. No Viserai makes complete sense to me. And Betsy's a little bit interesting, but again, I think more people were excited about Victor and even Bravo than Betsy, which is why. So pretty standard. The biggest surprises were Jeremiah and Victor being so high, and then Bravo being so low, I think is the biggest takeaways. 189 players. I just read that, right? Just right at the top. So people can make fun of me in the comments for that one. 189 players, 9 rounds. Ended up doing really well. Really excited to see it come out on Mansand's channel. Make sure you give him a follow. I think he's on Mansand or Savage Feeds channel. Probably on the Savage Feeds channel. Because I know that they recorded this, and they're going to be coming out with the rounds later from pre-recorded. Then we have the top 8. So the top 8, Yuki Lee Bender ended up going undefeated in Swiss, getting the #1 overall seed with KO. We're going to go over that KO list this week in a video and kind of talk about some learnings that I've had even with her side of the deck. I will tell you right now, though, her deck, it's nothing crazy. It's just good value stuff. She didn't run any crazy tech or any like weird cards. No, it was just what you would expect KO cards to be good. I think the biggest thing about her list that I really not enjoy, it's the wrong word, that I'm really feel a little bit better to see is there was no Enlightened Strike in the list. Enlightened Strike's been a contested card, I guess, air quotes, if you can talk about it. With KOs, some KOs think it's really, really good. Some people think it's bad because it doesn't do well with Blood Rush. It doesn't do well with draw discard sometimes, but it does do well with agility and even mites. So it's a really weird card, but she didn't run it in her list. Maybe she'll run it in the future, who knows, but it was really cool seeing that. William Pistel, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, got 8th seed on Levia, so Levia already cracking another top 8. Then we saw Kasai, Bravo, Kano, Majin on Kano, one of the better Kano players in the world, one of the better Wizard players in the world. Rose, who's been doing amazing with Dash lately, she's been going off. Normally plays, I think, a slower list, like a slab list, but maybe they weren't playing that for this event. And then another Bravo and Jonathan, and then Tran in the other KO slot. So they didn't do like multiple screenshots, so I can't show the progression, but Yuki ended up taking it over William. I don't know who took it in the Kasai Bravo matchup. I'm sure we'll figure that out. Majin took it over Rose, and then I think Majin ended up playing Jonathan, if I'm correct, in the semifinals. So the finals was Majin versus Yuki. So Yuki had gone undefeated. At this point is 11-0 going into the finals against Majin and Majin ended up falling to Yuki. So Yuki went undefeated 12-0 on KO. Actually insane. It's going to be really fun. I think KO is one of the better decks for me. I've said that. You can go back on my tier list. I think KO is one of those decks. I put it in the could rise to the top category. I think KO is a list that it could be like one of the best decks in the format. It's just its numbers are so good. Its value is so good. It's a little bit prone to disruption, and fatigue is an option. You just have to be really smart as KO not to be fatigued, but you do have tools to get around fatigue, like pulping, predatory assault, all these different stuff, to even tear limb from limb potentially. and reincarnate. So even if it goes fatigue, it's not that big a deal. But yeah, Yuki went 12-0. I hope she comes out with the deck tech. Yuki's such an amazing player. Has done so well for so long. Highly deserved. Really cool to see that. So that was about Hardened Hartford. KO ends up gaining his first Living Legend points. And the funny thing is now KO officially has more Living Legend points than Levia in less than a week because he gets 40 points for this. Levia has like 30-something. So yeah, that was funny. Then we had the Battle Hardened Manila. So this event went much different than the Battle Hardened Hartford, which I love to see. Like I've said it before on the channel, I love Apex like meta. They just play what they want to play, and they play what they enjoy. And also they're ninja fans, which I also love. But no, Azalea was the most represented deck. 103 players, so a little bit less than 189, right, from Hartford, but still a good size Battle Hardened. 12 Azaleas and 10 Katsus. Katsu being the second most represented deck is hilarious. Like, it's awesome. Bravo being up there makes complete sense, and Dash and Kasai. I think Kasai is going to be a staple. I didn't mention it in the previous top 8, but Kasai making top 8 does not surprise me. It's just going to be a solid deck that's going to get really good results. Dromai being at 6, Prism being at 6, so Illusionist kind of in the middle. Dorinthia, Phi goes down the line. I think the biggest surprise for me in this list, to be honest, is the lack of, like, well, one, there was a bunch of heroes that weren't represented, but like seven heroes. Oh, they didn't know. Okay, so yeah, the weird thing is KO only being 2 is a little interesting. I thought KO would be a little bit more, or at least the brutes in general. Like, you see it, KO at 2, Levi at 3, and Reinar at 5. And from what I remember, APAC is a pretty big Reinar fan. As far as the region is concerned, from what I've seen. So I'm really a little bit surprised on like the lack of brute representation, but they love their ninjas over there. I do know that. 5 Phi and 10 Katsu, right? Ninja making up essentially 15% of the meta completely. So that's how that went. And then the top 8 was this. Dorinthia actually got the #1 overall seed, and it's a really interesting list. If I can find it and remember, I'll put it down in the description below. A lot of 2-ofs, a lot of 1-ofs. Very similar to the 9th place Worlds list, not in terms of card for card, but in terms of how they build the deck in very consistent, like, interesting ways. Kasai being a 2 seed makes sense. Like I said, I think we'll see how many events she wins, but I think Kasai, there's always going to be one Kasai that sneaks in the top 8 because she's just a solid deck, and she's such a good deck to play at a big event because her consistency is going to carry you through rounds, right? And then Ninja, we had 1 Katsu at 3 seed and 3 Phis at rounding out the 6, 7, and 8 seed, and then 2 Bravos. So 4 total Ninja, right? 1 Katsu, 3 Phi, 2 Bravos, a Kasai, and Dorinthia. I don't have the bracket for this, but I do know, I believe the final was Bravo versus Kasai. Yes, it was Bravo versus Kasai. It was the 5 seed Jerry, I believe, or Gary. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correct. Gary versus Andre, and Gary ended up winning it on Bravo. So Bravo got some more Living Legend points, but seeing a heavy hitters hero make 2 Battle Hardened finals already, winning one of them is really cool to see. I think the PTI event, I think it was a PTI event that Young Victor actually won that one in Blitz, which is really interesting. So overall, the meta is really cool, really open. Like I said, I think the meta is going to stay like this too. I think you're going to see a lot of heroes at the top kind of rounding things out, and I think top 8s are going to be different depending on local metas, especially at the Battle Hardened level. I think the Battle Hardened level is going to be the most fun to watch in terms of meta because people are just going to play what they want, and it's a little bit more like Wild Westy than like a calling where people might pick more safe options. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'd love to hear it. I'm super excited to see where this meta goes. I'm really happy with it. I've been playing KO, went 3-0 in the Armory last night. Really fun time. I'm going to keep messing with the hero as well as Levia. But yeah, this week you can expect me to do a Katsu meta call video. I'm going to do some gameplay videos finally. People have been asking for that, and I normally don't like recording them, I'm not going to lie, but I know a lot of people want them, and I have more time on my hands to do that. So I'm going to be recording them and then going over them and recording, like, going over the game. Talking about that. I'm also going to talk about Yuki's KO list as well as my own. Kind of talk about my thoughts on KO, Yuki's list, and how awesome it was. It was really, really fun. And then finally, I'm going to talk about like overperforming, underperforming cards from heavy hitters, kind of give some people some suggestions on terms of things you could look at. And yeah, we'll go from there. But thank y'all so much. Hopefully you'll have a good rest of your day. Stay safe. Let me know what type of content you like to see. Like I said, we're going to be posting a lot more consistently now that everything's good and settled at the new house. But thank y'all so much. If you want to leave a like, comment, subscribe, you can. But if not, go to another Flesh and Blood creator. We have a lot of people doing a lot of cool stuff right now. I need to do my creator video to showcase creators here soon. But yeah, go sub to someone else, make their day, leave a comment, give them some support as we go into this new year. And I'll see y'all next time on TCG Talk.